My dear brothers and sisters, a person can build a palace with wisdom or burn it to ashes with a careless word, a reckless mood, a wasted coin, or an undisciplined mind. Which will you choose? The mouth is one of the smallest parts of the human body, yet it holds extraordinary power. With just a few words spoken in haste, a family can fracture. With one careless phrase, trust that took years to build can be shattered in seconds. The mouth does not carry the weight of a hammer or the sharpness of a sword, yet it can strike harder than both. Think of the arguments you've witnessed, the scars left not on the skin but on the soul. Words have the ability to bruise without leaving visible marks, and those bruises linger, sometimes for a lifetime. When a child hears from the lips of a parent, "You will never amount to anything," that sentence does not fade away after the sound has dissolved in the air. It lives on, echoing in the child's mind, shaping their self-worth and guiding their choices long after the voice has gone silent. At the same time, consider the opposite. Think of how a single phrase of encouragement can lift someone out of despair. "I believe in you. You are capable. You are loved." These words are not extravagant. They are not wrapped in silver or gold, yet they are treasures more valuable than riches. The mouth, when used wisely, becomes a wellspring of life. It is a place where courage is poured, where broken hearts find mending, where hope is rekindled in souls that were ready to surrender. You see, the power of the mouth is neutral. It is neither good nor evil on its own. It is the intention and discipline of the speaker that gives it direction. A flame can warm a home or burn it to the ground. A river can nourish the fields or flood the land. The same is true with the tongue. Its potential lies in your control or your lack of it. We often underestimate the permanence of spoken words because they vanish into the air so quickly. But what we forget is that they vanish from our ears, not from our hearts. Words lodge themselves in memory, and memory shapes belief. Many of us are walking testimonies to something we once heard. Some people are living with courage today because someone told them years ago, "You are stronger than you know." Others are living in fear because long ago someone said, "You will fail." This is why control of the mouth is not optional. It is essential. Each word you speak is a seed, and every seed grows. Some grow into flowers of healing. Others grow into weeds of bitterness. To control your mouth is not only about silencing harshness, it is also about choosing intentional speech. Silence alone is not wisdom, for silence without kindness can feel like neglect. Control means pausing before speaking, measuring the weight of your words, and asking yourself whether they will build or destroy. It means training yourself to respond rather than react, to lift rather than belittle, to encourage rather than criticize. Control of the mouth is a discipline, a practice, and like all disciplines, it requires effort and vigilance. The easiest thing in the world is to let words spill out unchecked, but the strongest people are those who harness their tongue and release only what is worthy of the ears that receive it. The mood is a river that runs through every soul, sometimes calm and steady, sometimes raging and unpredictable. It colors the way we see the world, the way we treat others, and the way we treat ourselves. When the mood is bright, life feels lighter, possibilities seem closer, and relationships flow with ease. But when the mood darkens, the very same life can feel heavy. The same opportunities appear impossible, and the same relationships begin to strain under the weight of sudden storms. Your mood may seem like a private matter, something hidden within, but it spills outward, affecting everyone who comes near you. a sharp tone, a furrowed brow, an impatient sigh. These are small signals of a storm inside, but to those around you, they can feel like thunderclaps. An uncontrolled mood is like lightning in a dry forest, quick, unplanned, destructive. Think of how many decisions in your life were made not with reason, but with emotion. Words said in anger that you wished you could swallow back. Choices born out of sadness that limited your growth. Actions rooted in jealousy that left you feeling smaller rather than larger. A single outburst can unravel trust, just as a single storm can undo years of careful planting. When moods rule you, you become a servant to every passing feeling. One moment you are kind, the next you are cruel. One day you are hopeful, the next day you are hopeless. Those around you are left walking on eggshells, unsure which version of you will appear, and deep inside, you too begin to feel like a stranger to yourself. Yet moods are not the enemy. They are signals, indicators of what is stirring inside your heart and mind. Anger tells you something feels unjust. Sadness tells you something valuable has been lost. Fear tells you there is danger, real or imagined. Joy tells you something has aligned with your soul. The problem is not the presence of these moods, but the lack of control over them. Just as weather cannot be stopped but can be prepared for, moods cannot always be prevented but can be guided, shaped, and managed. It is not strength to deny that you are angry or sad. It is strength to acknowledge those feelings and still choose your response wisely. To control your mood is to build a pause between stimulus and response. It is to breathe when your instinct is to lash out. It is to wait when your desire is to react instantly. It is to remind yourself that temporary emotions do not deserve permanent consequences. The mood that feels overwhelming today may pass tomorrow, but the words you speak or the actions you take while under its spell may remain for years. A storm can be weathered if you find shelter, and in the same way, a turbulent mood can be endured if you create space for reflection, prayer, stillness, or silence. Those who master their moods do not avoid storms. They learn how to walk through them without letting the storm dictate every step. Money is one of the greatest mirrors of human character. It is not merely a piece of paper or a set of numbers glowing on a digital screen. It is a reflection of choices, values, priorities, and discipline. The way a person handles money reveals far more about them than the words they speak. Some see money only as a tool for survival, others as a weapon of power, and still others as a measure of self-worth. But in truth, money itself is none of these things. Money is neutral. It is neither kind nor cruel, neither good nor evil. It bends itself to the hands that hold it, and its purpose takes shape according to the discipline or the lack of discipline of the person who spends it. When money is not controlled, it becomes a silent master. How many sleepless nights have been caused by debts that grew larger than expected? How many friendships have soured, families have fractured, and opportunities have vanished because money was not handled with wisdom? To spend without thought is to live in a constant chase, always pursuing the next paycheck, the next loan, the next promise of relief. It is a cycle of bondage where freedom feels like an illusion. A person may work hard all their life, yet find themselves shackled not because they lacked income, but because they lacked control. Money has a way of slipping through careless hands like water through an open fist, leaving only frustration behind. Yet money in the hands of a disciplined soul becomes a servant instead of a master. When guided with wisdom, it builds stability, provides comfort, and creates opportunities not only for oneself but for others. Every dollar can be seen as a worker, a laborer in the service of a future. Some are assigned to guard against emergencies, some to build dreams, some to bring joy, and some to serve others in need. When money is given direction, it multiplies its value. A small sum saved with consistency grows into security, while a small sum spent recklessly disappears with nothing to show for it. It is not the size of the income that determines peace of mind, but the strength of the discipline behind it. Consider how often people confuse wants with needs. A need is something without which you cannot survive. A want is something that makes survival more comfortable. When money is confused between the two, people spend on wants and neglect needs, leaving themselves vulnerable when difficulties arrive. Financial storms come to everyone at some point: illness, loss, unforeseen change. But those who have disciplined their money stand prepared, while those who have squandered it stand exposed. Control over money is not about denying yourself every comfort. It is about choosing wisely, about giving today's earnings a purpose that stretches into tomorrow. To control money is to understand that it is not only a means to live, but also a way to shape the kind of life you will live in the future. The mind is the most powerful territory a human being will ever govern, yet it is often the most neglected. It is the birthplace of every word spoken, every action taken, every dream pursued, and every mistake repeated. Whatever dominates the mind eventually shows itself in the life. A fearful mind produces a fearful existence. A hopeful mind creates a hopeful path. The body follows where the mind leads, and the mind follows where it has been allowed to wander. Some people live their whole lives in prisons not made of bars but of beliefs, locked inside cages built from thoughts they never challenged, never questioned, never replaced. The true chains are invisible, and they are forged in the silence of the mind. When the mind is uncontrolled, it becomes like a wild field overrun with weeds. Doubts, anxieties, jealousies, and regrets grow without effort, choking out the seeds of peace and progress. An undisciplined mind plays tricks on its owner. It repeats old wounds until they feel like new ones. It whispers lies that sound like truth. It creates enemies where there are none and magnifies obstacles until they feel insurmountable. Left unchecked, the mind can make a person rich in opportunity, yet poor in perception, surrounded by love, yet convinced of loneliness, standing in freedom, yet still enslaved by fear. The battles that matter most are rarely fought on streets or fields. They are fought in the quiet corners of the mind. Yet the same mind, when trained, becomes a fortress. It becomes a garden where clarity grows, where strength takes root, where vision flowers into reality. Training the mind does not mean silencing every negative thought, for such a task would be impossible. It means recognizing those thoughts, examining them, and deciding whether they deserve to stay. It means choosing what you feed your mind with, for just as the body grows from the food it consumes, the mind grows from the ideas, words, and images it absorbs. Garbage in, garbage out, truth in, wisdom out. If you nourish your mind with bitterness, anger, and doubt, those are the fruits it will bear. If you nourish it with learning, gratitude, and vision, those are the fruits you will harvest. Control of the mind requires stillness, and in a noisy world, stillness is a rare discipline. We live in a time where distraction knocks on every door and shouts from every corner, phones buzzing, screens flashing, voices demanding. The undisciplined mind drinks in this noise until it becomes restless, unable to focus, unable to dream deeply, unable to find peace. But when you choose to sit in silence, when you choose choose reflection over distraction, the mind begins to obey. It learns that it is not the master, but the servant, not the driver, but the vehicle. A controlled mind is not one without thoughts, but one whose thoughts no longer dictate every emotion and every action.